Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of r/ProRevenge. My name's Ryan, the official host here on Reddit Voice, and I look forward to bringing you guys today's top stories. Before I do though, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button, as well as have notifications turned on. That way you could stay up to date with all the latest and the greatest. Come Dancing takes on a whole new meaning. Very early in my career, I got a job working as a sound and lighting tech at a big music and dance venue in West London. It was a pretty decent job. Wednesday through Saturday, we had various themed nights, and most weeks we had various well-known bands come in on the Monday and or Tuesday bands like UB40, The Jam, The Stranglers, The Thompson Twins, Killing Joke, an epic story in itself, although not one of revenge, and many others. The venue had for many years a reputation for ballroom dancing. It had the largest sprung maple dance floor in the UK, and the BBC frequently came in to record episodes of Come Dancing, a popular TV show in the 70s and 80s. You could get around 2,500 people in the venue, and when we had concerts, the tables around the periphery of the dance floor were removed so we could fill the venue to capacity. Running around all four sides of the rectangular arena was a balcony, which had two bars, the sound and lighting control room, and importantly, 6 dressing rooms directly about the stage area that was along one of the long arms of the rectangle. Bear in mind that for what should be obvious reasons, this area was out of bounds to the punters. One of the more interesting regular nights was Wednesday's Over 25's night, an evening that catered to, shall we say, the older fraternity. Those who had cut their teeth socially in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and for whom the venue held a certain degree of nostalgia. You would think that these older patrons would know how to conduct themselves. Not a bit of it. There would frequently be punters going handbags at 20 paces with each other, to the endless frustration of the bouncers. And on at least 2 occasions I witnessed a couple of old boys who were well into their 60s waving flick knives at each other. There were also quite a few ladies attending. How can one put this delicately, who were less enamored of the, what's that word? Terpsichorean arts per se than there were of taking the concept of dancing being vertical expression of horizontal intent and applying it to a means of gaining a quid pro quo financially. This practice was something of an open secret among the staff, and looking back on the situation, I'm almost certain there was some kind of financial kickback with the senior management who always looked the other way. And so it came to pass, gentle reader, that I'm up on the control room one afternoon when the chief electrician pops his head around the door and asks me if I'd been into the dressing room 6 recently. Other than checking to see if the bulbs were working, a matter of a few seconds, I said no. He then beckoned me to follow him. Intrigued, I trotted after him and went into dressing room 6, to be confronted by a rather odd sight. There was a large hole in the brickwork on the wall that faced into dressing room 5. Going into dressing room 5, I noticed a large mirror covering said hole. Further examination showed that this was, in fact, a one-way mirror. It took but a moment to make a theoretical connection to the activities of the Wednesday nights. That evening, I approached a couple of my colleagues on the upper bar and asked them to keep an eye on the stage right entrance to the dressing rooms. Sure enough, they reported seeing couples sneaking into the area, followed shortly thereafter by certain members of senior management. Over the next couple of weeks, I conspired to find myself in the dressing room area, ostensibly to use the access ladder to the roof area to go and turn on the extractor fans. Sure enough, the sounds emanating from the 2 dressing rooms left little to the imagination. Put bluntly, the local tarts were pulling clients and taking them up to dressing room 5, while the senior management crowded into number 6 and got their jollies via the one-way mirror. As you might imagine, this intelligence spread rapidly but covertly throughout the entire lower-end staff. In particular, many of the bar staff were female and they were justifiably outraged at such heinous behavior. We would almost always get together after work on a Saturday to socialize at someone's house. And so one particular Saturday, we held a council of war. On the following Tuesday, we knew that there was going to be a major gig at the venue, which was pretty much already sold out. Someone then had the bright idea of going on strike. That's right, folks, the entire bar and tech crew decided en masse that we would simply not turn up on Tuesday evening. This amounted to a little over 20 people. We knew that they'd normally be taking money hand over fist at the bars. With no staff to serve the thirsty punters, the venue would be therefore losing some serious coin. Come the aforesaid Tuesday evening, not a single member of the staff showed up. On Wednesday, everyone rocks up to work to be confronted by a furious management. Boy, were they pissed. We learned that it had been absolute chaos, with the management and a few of the bouncers having to roll up their sleeves and serve behind the bars. Even with this, there was nowhere near enough staff to serve 2,500 people. They lost a fortune in bar sales. We were then all threatened with termination, a somewhat hollow threat, as if we had all been booted out then and there, there'd be no one to serve or do any work that evening. It was then that we played our trump card. A few days earlier, I had taken the precaution of taking some photos of the offending mirror installation, which also neatly demonstrated the one-way nature of the setup. We gave them an ultimatum: either remove the mirror and block up the hole, or the whole set of photos would be sent to head office, where we felt sure the top brass would be very interested in the shenanigans perpetrated by senior management in one of their major venues. We also felt sure that the local police station, literally next doors, would express a similar interest in the goings-ons. You could almost hear the air leaking out as the management's bods visibly deflated right in front of our eyes. In short, our demands were met without question, and no one got the sack. A few days later, we found the head honcho had moved on to pastures new, and a new manager had taken over. Final score: venue staff 4, management 0. Ex-boss assaulted me and invokes the wrath of my friend. I spent 2 years working for a particular boss who I'll call Dan. Dan was, and almost certainly still is, the most unacceptable human being I have ever had the displeasure of encountering. He was a compulsive liar, a narcissist, short-tempered, unethical, unreasonable, unintelligent, and abusive. I once witnessed him spend half an hour shouting at a salesman for wearing shoes that Dan didn't approve of. Not inappropriate shoes, mind you, but just ones that Dan didn't like. The salesman in question could have gone home and changed his shoes in the time that Dan spent cursing him out and belittling him. He also sold the client second-hand computers, claiming they were new, and priced as new ones. This man not only assaulted me, but verbally and emotionally abused me for the better part of 2 years, and did everything in his power to keep me under his thumb. He constantly micromanaged me to the point of just dictating to me what I should write in an email to a client. It wasn't done exactly his way, it wasn't correct. I had to argue with him just to get a gosh dang sick day, even though I'm legally entitled to it. I was woefully underpaid and on call 24/7. This made it difficult for me to find other employment, and is one of the reasons I stayed as long as I did. He made my life absolutely miserable, and I developed a bit of a drinking problem as a result. I recently watched a presentation on domestic violence, and his behavior is a textbook case of what DV abusers do. I could go on and on about the things this man did to be the biggest a-hole he could be, but this is ProRevenge, not Bad Bosses, so I'll get to the story. One day, Dan and I had a disagreement about something. I was right, and I had the emails to prove it, and I was frankly fed up with his BS. I told him I wouldn't be going to work because I was taking a sick day. He proceeded to shove me down to the ground. He's a big guy, probably one of the reasons he's gotten away with being human garbage for so long, and starts trying to strangle me. I was able to fend him off and escape, and after I did, I filed a police report. There were no witnesses, so that was going to go nowhere. He actually had one of his other subordinates make a claim that the alleged assault didn't happen. Said subordinate wasn't there at the time, so false report. I naturally told everybody I knew and all his clients that contacted me afterwards. I was their primary IT support, so quite a few of them had my personal number, that I had filed a police report against him for assault. I specifically said it that way because, unlike simply claiming that he assaulted me, telling people I filed a report was unarguably true and not slanderous. A lot of his clients were already not happy with the services he provided, internet and PBX, so that certainly turned a lot of them off of renewing their contracts. A very close family friend of mine, Carol, was naturally one of the first to hear about the assault. I left the country about a month later in search of better opportunities, but my friend remained and became the chairman of the board of trustees for the body corporate of the neighborhood where Dan lived. A body corporate is basically like an HOA, but with different laws governing them. She set her sights on making his life hell. Dan had a broken down car that had been broken down for over a year at that point. He never had the money to fix it because he's a crappy businessman who never seemed to realize that his business model had a really tiny profit margin, and the rule of the neighborhood was changed to force broken down cars to be towed away. If the owner didn't tow it, the body corporate would, and charge the owner and fine them. So Dan was fined a few times. Not small amounts either. And when he was fined, he did what he always does when things don't go his way. Throw a effing tantrum while having no leg to stand on. The tantrum in this case was several expletive-filled emails to body corporate, which is just a great way to endear yourself to someone who already hates you, which got him fined again for breaking the conduct code. This, combined with the loss of revenue for his business, had led to him not having any substantial income for over half a year now. He has no car, nor the money to buy one. Several of his big clients are definitely not going to renew contracts with him, and he appears to no longer have any staff in his employ. Nobody's seen anyone coming to his house in months now, and the body corporate is pressuring his landlord to evict him. He's well and truly effed. I'm living happily in another country now, and got an awesome job that pays 20 times that working for him did. Yes, really, 20 times more money. That's how little I made under him. TLDR, boss assaults me, and thanks to a friend of mine, his business failed and he's on the verge of eviction. I've been informed that Dan was found dead in his home. Police have determined that it was not accidental or natural death, but murder. The results of the details are still unclear, but I can only presume that he finally picked a fight with someone who could go toe-to-toe with him and lost. And with that, folks, we've reached the end of our video. If you liked it, be sure to leave a like as well as subscribe with notifications turned on. That way you could stay up to date with all the latest and the greatest. As always, my name is Ryan, the official host here on Reddit Voice, and I look forward to seeing you guys in tomorrow's video.